Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett joins us now. Greg, great to have you this morning. So from best I and we can tell, Judge McAfee attempted to sort of split the baby here, to do something that maybe wasn't politically controversial in Fulton County, but also punish Willis and Wade for the appearance of impropriety. What he said, and I wanted to ask you about, is he said, although it's clear their behavior was at best frowned upon, at worst much more, he said it didn't impact the defendant, in this case Donald Trump and others, due process rights.
Yeah, well, he's wrong, Will. I mean, this decision, if you read it, 23 pages, it's illogical. It's self-contradictory. The judge found both Willis and Wade engaged in the same wrongful, improper conduct that under law and ethics demands removal. And yet he orders that only one of them has to leave the case. I mean, that makes no sense, obviously, because the appearance of impropriety remains, and it infects the case and the defendant and his due process rights, which means I think this was a craven political ruling written by a Democrat judge who wasn't about to jeopardize his reelection in a few months. So he gratuitously tosses Willis this lifeline to keep the case against Trump going, because if she's disqualified by the court, so is her entire office. That's Georgia law. And that would effectively kill the charges against Trump, because any sensible prosecutor, I think elsewhere, would take one look at this case, recognize that it's weak or non-existent on racketeering. And in fact, I wrote a column 2 months ago that this case is such a legal, ethical train wreck, the state attorney general should take it over for review. And I think that may be where it's headed.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I'm looking at her in all her dramatic moments. Not going to say I'm not going to lie. It's very entertaining. And I can see why he doesn't want to upset black female voters, many of whom like the way she is performing on the stand. But I guess the question I have is just where does this go in terms of the general public opinion about, this being election interference, the entire process for Donald Trump, that they're trying to, tie him up in these court cases. And I think it's kind of helping him make that case.
Yeah, it's classic lawfare,
yes.
Weaponizing the law for political purposes. And, Willis seems to be popping champagne corks. Well, I think that's premature. This ruling further delays the prosecution. It may put it in jeopardy, and she may not survive professionally, because a Georgia Senate investigation and a prosecutor's commission now armed with the judge's findings, a scathing rebuke of Willis's behavior. I mean, he called her unprofessional, said she may have been untruthful and dishonest. My goodness, that is a breach of duty. It's grounds for removal from office, not just a case. She undermined the public's trust. But Willis is also facing additional probes, misuse of public funds, other improprieties. Reportedly, employees are lining up to testify against her. So I'll make this prediction. I think she'll try to diffuse all of this by announcing sometime soon that, another prosecutor in the office will try the case. Well, that doesn't remove either her or the taint of a partisan DA who, as I say, weaponized the law to bring a politically driven case to influence a presidential election.
Her moment in the spotlight, and it seems to all be caving in, and the case with it, potentially. And all the cases, Greg, it feels like across the board, the courtroom's getting farther away, even though they keep trying to bring in at Trump. Greg, thanks for your time.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.